Hello, today is Saturday, June 27th, 2026. Here is your daily signal. According to Fortune, Donald Trump has turned on his own big oil donors, now calling for Department of Justice scrutiny over alleged price gouging, while also refusing to sign a housing bill passed by overwhelming margins and eyeing the revival of restrictive immigration policies, as reported by Associated Press. Trump's complex history with sectors like energy and real estate stretches back to his first presidency in 2017, with policy reversals and accusations of market distortion marking his tenure. On June 25, 2026, Trump accused major oil donors, who spent nearly $100 million supporting his election campaign, of keeping gas prices elevated despite crude oil returning to pre-war levels and urged DOJ action. The same day, he declined to sign the 21st Century Road to Housing Act, despite its passage in Congress by 358-32 and 85-5 vote counts, deepening uncertainty for developers and homeowners. The Supreme Court also cleared Trump to revive restrictive immigration, further unpredictability for businesses. Immediate consequences include DOJ attention on Chevron and ExxonMobil, heightened volatility in energy and property markets, delayed relief for property owners, and stricter immigration standards possibly driving up compliance costs and squeezing labor supply. In the medium term, persistent policy unpredictability is poised to erode corporate investment confidence and complicate executive decision-making. Next, turning to the real costs and economic fallout from the Iran war. Fortune reports that U.S. companies, after absorbing a sharp oil shock, are now facing an inflation surge. A Fed survey of 530 corporate executives shows 25% listing inflation as their primary concern, nearly triple last quarter's 9.5%. The Iran war, which intensified disruptions in global energy markets early in 2026, led to supply interruptions through the Strait of Hormuz and rising prices for both fuel and household goods. Business Insider highlights the findings of Moody's economist Mark Zandi, who calculated that the war has imposed substantial new costs on U.S. households, costs that may increase further even as conflict wanes. Meanwhile, Goldman Sachs notes in Fortune that EV adoption jumped 3.4% after the Iran war, outpacing gains made by any single climate policy thus far. In total, U.S. households are facing markedly higher expenses, while corporations dependent on transport and manufacturing are under pressure from steep energy volatility. Immediate consequences may include firms raising prices after absorbing past shocks, potentially driving down consumer demand and accelerating electric vehicle adoption. In the medium term, sustained inflation could deeply impact household spending, while the push for renewable energy infrastructure could gain new urgency as policy responses shift. Lastly, onto the implications of teaching artificial intelligence using video game data. TechCrunch reports that General Intuition has made a bold $2.3 billion bet backed by a recent $320 million capital raise to scale AI trained on gameplay from titles like Fortnite, aiming to cultivate more human-like intuition. This trend leverages millions of hours of gaming in environments that are richly dynamic and complex, a method designed to improve adaptable problem-solving and decision-making for AI agents. While previous efforts have employed platforms such as OpenAI's GIM and DeepMind's DM Lab, critics warn that video game worlds may fall short of real-world unpredictability and physical constraints. General Intuition's valuation underscores market optimism, but Epic Games, as creator of Fortnite and leading robotics startups, remain cautious. In the near term, AI agents trained on gaming data are expected to excel at virtual tasks but could face hurdles with real-world complexity. Medium-term impacts may bring robotics and automation breakthroughs, but there is ongoing risk of investment losses if game-trained models struggle outside the screen. Furthermore, large-scale use of commercial gameplay data raises ethical concerns about privacy, as robotics and research teams at Stanford and MIT explore the transferability of these models. Now, onto the markets. International markets were mixed, with Germany's EWG and EWD edging lower by nearly 1%, while India's INDA posted modest gains and Chile's ECH turned up 0.6% as Belgium's EWK also showed slight increases. Among major movers, Italy's EWI appeared twice but closed down about 0.5%, and China large-cap FXI declined slightly, with Israel's EIS the steepest faller on a 1.6% drop. Commodities saw gold GLD rise just over 1% and silver SLV up 1.75%, while U.S. oil USO tumbled 3.5% for the session, with platinum PPLT climbing 1.9% and lithium LIT dropping 3%. Agriculture DBA and corn slipped, joining wheat in negative territory, while uranium URA retreated nearly 0.8%. Among favorites, Adobe Adbed jumped 4.8%, Microsoft MSFD advanced 5.7%, and Axon climbed 4.5%, contrasted by Oracle fallen 2.6% and ARM dropping 3.9%. The S&P 500 SPY dipped 0.7%, but healthcare Roman 45 rallied 3% and Finance XLF notched a small gain, with semiconductors stocks down over 5.6%. Among individual gainers, Mike soared 17.6 points led by 429% upside, while Sadat Group surged 212%. Top loser SIG dropped 88.9% and Tabula T-Blah slipped 88%. That's it for today. You can find more news and details on our website. Goodbye.